Hi everybody, it's Gail. Welcome to my channel. I'm here today to share a new collection I just released into my Etsy shop. These are some Victorian fashion Polaroids, and I just thought I would show you what's in the little collection and then show you some ephemera pieces I made with these images. So these all came from an antique magazine / catalog. It was called, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, the Delineator. It had illustrations of fashions, it had advertising, had some articles in it. They had these illustrations were in color, and then they had some black and white illustrations, or I consider this sepia. So I took those and I made some Polaroids of the ones in color and some Polaroids of the ones in black and white. I then took those images and put them side by side, thinking that they would make nice little small journals, or actually I think notebooks, because there's not a lot of room on here for a spine. Of course, you could always add a spine and just make it a miniature journal. But I like to add small notebooks into my journals. And so that's where my brain was wandering when I was creating this. So these are a little bit smaller than the Polaroids. They're more narrow. Each one separately is more narrow and just a tad shorter. And then I put them together. So let me go back a minute. These are just the Polaroids plain, and then these are the same Polaroids, but I added some Victorian type flowers to them. Then I took those and I took the regular Polaroids and reduced them in size so that they're very small. And then I took the, I'm just going to refer to them as the notebook Polaroids. I took both of those with the flowers and without, and I made those very small. Then I made a background page, or you could call it a collage sheet or a tear sheet. I just thought that it would be nice to have something appropriate to the illustrations if you wanted to do something back to back. So that's basically what's in the little collection. This is a copy right here of the cover of the magazine that I had, and you can tell it was in not the greatest shape. It was torn and kind of dirty, but that's the name. That's the name of the magazine, and like I said, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I've always referred to it, when I see it in my head, I'm pronouncing it Delineator. This was published by Butterick, and the one that I had was late 1800s, so I'm not sure how long they ran, but I thought it was just a really cool magazine. Look at this, a sewing machine for $19.50. Oh my. There are some, whoops, a few more illustrations of some bodices and dresses and some bonnets. This one I think is some trim patterns on trim. So that was a fun piece to put together. And then let me show you what I did with those. Excuse me while I take a sip of water. Let me just bring these back a moment, just to kind of give you an idea. Alright, so these are the notebook Polaroids. So you can see that. And what I did was I cut these out, I folded them in half. Then I had some scrap paper. So I just cut those to fit inside. Also, when I printed these, this one is not, but when I printed this sheet, I printed it back to back I printed this side. Whoops, I'm making a mess here. Excuse me. Printed this side, turned it over, put it in the printer, and printed this on the other side. So they were back to back. And then you can see here, when I cut it, this is part of the background sheet. Like I said, folded it in half, put the scrap paper in, and then I just stapled it. I wanted this to be very simple. This could be left in, or they could be ripped off after somebody made themselves a little note. This is some vintage paper. It could definitely be used in a journal to stamp on or collage with, whatever somebody wanted to do. So I made one of those. This is a vintage Italian stamp, and a little bit of lace that I wrapped around the edge, fumble fingers here, and brought around to the back. I did another one. This is another vintage Italian stamp. This one, I did the same. It had the background sheet back to back. This, I had some, I've got an old writing tablet I just found at a thrift store. In fact, I've got it right here. It's one of these. So it had it was small enough that the lines were ruled, I thought, at a good space to make it for writing. And I cut those to fit inside, folded it in half, and then I put 3 staples through the center. And what I do, if I staple something on the back side of the staple, I always pound those down. I have a little hammer. The other day, I didn't have my hammer with me. I actually just used my stapler and pounded them down. So that, when you staple something, a lot of times the back side, they're raised a little bit and somebody could catch a finger on it. So I always pound my staples down and flatten them as much as I can. So there's another little notebook. Then the little mini notebooks, that's what I'm calling them. Let's see. That would be these, the little mini notebooks. I think they're so cute. I made several of those. Again, I cut it out. These I did not back with the background sheet that comes with this collection. They were so small, I just used scraps out of my scrap bin. This is some vintage dictionary. And again, these were the offcuts from the larger, this one. So what I had trimmed off, and I trimmed them just a little bit more, and they fit in here perfectly. So I did that. Here's another one. Same thing. And then this one, again, these were the offcuts from the striped writing paper. Now there are no stripes on this because this was the edge. Let me show you. Because no, that's not right. Excuse me. Oh, I know what it was. Yes, when I cut them off like this. So you're seeing the blank and then the first blue line. That's what that was. Huh. I forgot already. My brain is like a sieve. So this one is part of the offcut of the little stripes. And again, some vintage book paper that I had in my scrap bin. So those are adorable. So all of these, I think I'm going to stick them in my ephemera storage box. And I think they're fun little pieces that can be put into tucks, tucked into a pocket, thrown into an envelope. Whatever somebody wants to do with them, they're ready. Then I took one of the larger Polaroids, this one right here, cut that out. I attached it to some cardstock. I used that lined paper again, put it on the back. My first thought was, when I created this, was journal card. I've added some stained cheesecloth and some stained fabric on the edge. After I put it together, I thought, well, this doesn't have to be just a journal card, you could actually make it a corner tuck. It could be a pocket. You could even make it a tag. So it's got possibilities for more than just a journal card. So I've got another piece for my inventory box. And excuse me while I take a drink of water. This is a tag that I made. And what I did on this one is I took the notebook Polaroids, and you can see this young lady right here, and I just cut this in half. So you could use this is smaller than this size Polaroid, and so I did want a smaller image for this tag, so I just cut this in half. So they don't have to be used strictly as a little notebook. You can cut them in half and use them any way you want. And again, just attached it to a tag. I layered the tag with some fabric and some cheesecloth. Did a little collaging here. Again, a little piece of fabric and part of this crochet trim flower that I've got up here. Layered. This is just, I ruffled some lace. Added this crochet flower trim. I did stitch all the way around the tag. This is just some polka dot sari silk that I have. I love it. Let's see, what else did I do? Oh, I stitched around the Polaroid, added some lace underneath. So it's just built up layers. Here you can see this is a piece of the fabric underneath. Back here, again, into my scrap bin, and I found some embossed paper, and then this is just some like craft cardstock. And so that will go into my tag inventory box. And then last but not least, I took this one, and I did use the largest Polaroid. That's this one right here. And I backed it with some lace. I added a little lace, I had a little piece of this lace left, so I added it on the corner. I did some stamping with Sam Poole Design stamps, and I'm sorry, Sam, I apologize. I can never remember the name of these stamps, but if you go out and you Google Sam Poole Designs, you will find these stamps. They're all kinds of text and numbers, and I use them quite a bit. A lot of us do. Love them. Thank you, Sam. Then we've got, this was the tag, and I just cut off the top, covered it with some decorative paper, added some more of that crocheted trim, embossed scrap that I had in my scrap bin. Here's some of my watercolor stripe doodles. This is an actual pocket, so I made another tag. And again, I scrounged around in my scrap bin, trying to work on my scraps, and just collaged the front, added some sari silk in a bow. In the back, I just used some vintage photo ink, Distress Oxide, and aged the tag a little bit. This is just a manila folder. And then this is a vintage German dictionary, I believe. So that's a pocket. And then this opens, and there are two small pockets here. I covered this side and this side both with some vintage wallpaper that I have. Some vintage book text. And then just some little tags that I stuck in there. And then there is a pocket here. If I can get my finger in there. And I've put an original vintage postcard. It's a postcard of Paris, and I can't read that. Well, I can read it, but I can't pronounce it because I don't speak French. And this was apparently at one time, I would assume it was glued into an old scrapbook, just because of the type of paper that's on the back here. It's what they often used in the old scrapbooks. So I put that in that pocket. And then on the back, I just had some vintage text paper. This is the stripy watercolor. I just wrapped it around the edge. And I thought this would be nice. I've got a play journal I have here that I use for testing and things. But let's just find a plain page here. There we go. Okay, so I just thought this could be attached to a page. You could glue the whole thing to the page if you like, and you've got a pocket. Because the pocket's here, I would put it on this side of the journal. So you've got a pocket here. What I would probably do is I would attach this. I would glue it down. Well, you've got options. You could glue it down on 3 sides, and you'd have another pocket here. Or you could glue it 3 sides this way, and you could have another pocket behind the pocket here. So you do have some options to make this very pockety, very interactive. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you today. Thanks so much for joining me. Welcome to my new subscribers. I really appreciate you stopping by and liking and subscribing my video. Stick around. I've got more coming, and I'm getting closer to 1,000 subscribers, and I said in my last video that when I reach 1,000 I will do some kind of giveaway. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I'm playing around with the idea of maybe an ephemera package. Have a blessed day. Stay creative. See you soon. Bye.